We told you about that good conversation we're about to have on the subject of education. We know that the Ghana Education Service is rolling out a new curricula for the academic year, at least for the basic school, which is starting today. From today, we're having some private schools, and ultimately by the close of next week Tuesday, we're going to have both the private and public schools all starting school at that level. But we also know that we've been to town, we've had some interactions. There are no textbooks available for the new academic year. We've had some interactions also with the Ghana Education Service, and they've given us their responses. But today, we decided to have some great conversation with the PRO of the Ghana Education Service, and Vincent is here. Vincent, Ekow Vincent, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning.
Okay, so
I'm the spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, not the Ghana Education Service. Okay. I'm sure wherever Cassandra is,
would not be happy.
Yeah.
So the spokesperson for the Ministry of Education. Ekow. Now, straight away, how are you?
I'm very well, hale and hearty. Great. Everything is fine. You?
Charlie, we did talk. Small.
Right.
Now, if we tentatively tend to look at the relevant issues, we would also get to know that. I said that were you reading this?
No, not at all.
But for the new academic year, we've had some explanations about why the textbooks are not ready for the start of this year, and the tentative reasons will be from the ministry.
Well, let me say a very good morning to your cherished viewers. Somewhere around 2-3 weeks ago, the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service, through the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, decided to train all teachers across the country. That is the 152,000 teachers at the level of the basic education. They were trained, or they were taken through the process, the procedures to be able to use at the classroom, especially because of the implementation of the new curriculum. When they were trained, they were given resource packs. The resource packs entails all the necessary procedures and all the necessary skills to be able to implement, or if you like, to be able to undertake the new curriculum. Textbook, for me, is just an add-on to what is needed to be able to ensure that instructions at the basic level is complete. However, it is not sine qua non. We admit that it is late, but the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, that is supposed to be the mother body of ensuring that our textbooks that goes to our various classrooms and the textbooks that pupils or students are supposed to be using is one that is worthy of emulation. And so, because the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, that is NACA, is supposed to take its time and make sure that producers or publishers who use the new curriculum to bring about the new textbooks, sanctions, or if you like, a lot of reading have gone through, so we can ensure that the right thing is put out there. Of course, we can't say that because we are starting the implementation of the curriculum, we have to provide any textbook at all. We are of the opinion that the training that we gave to the teachers, the resource packs that we gave to them, which entails all the necessary skills and all the necessary procedures and processes for them to be able to ensure the instructions at the basic level, is adequate for now to be able to make sure that classes start. The unavailability of the textbook cannot hinder class work as we speak. Teachers, students, parents who so desire to get the textbook so that it will serve as a revision guide for pupils at the basic level should give us a bit of some time. The NACA, or the National Council for Curriculum Assessment, will in no time approve textbooks that has been given to that institution by various publishers across the country. And when we are able to approve it, then printing will start. So that when you go to the market, any teacher, any student, any parent who desire to get a copy of any textbook at all will be able to get. But let me put on record that textbooks cannot be sine qua non for the implementation of the new curriculum. However, textbooks are rather an add-on for the process or for the instructions that are supposed to be going on in our various basic schools.
So, but what time will the textbooks be ready?
Well, as I said, it depends on NACA. It depends on the National Council for Curriculum Assessment to approve, because we just don't want to say that because we need the textbooks as early as possible, we should do schedule work. These are textbooks that are going to be used for the next years to come. And we just can't say because we want to start, we have to just approve it when we know that we have some work to do. But we are of the opinion and we are sure that the resource packs that we gave to the various teachers across the country, the curriculum framework that we gave to them, the training that we gave to them, and the resource pack that actually details the skills that you need to implement the curriculum is enough to carry us through the few weeks before the textbooks are ready.
You're aware that many schools and even parents or guardians relatedly tend to complement, and if I want to use your phrase, add on the work that is done by the teachers in the schools by having some level of tuition at home or wherever they come from.
Yes.
So the textbooks become important complementary tools.
Absolutely.
You do agree?
Absolutely.
So in their absence, you don't think parents should be worried? It's not as if that we are saying it. The parents have been raising issues. You're aware of that?
I'm aware of that, and I agree perfectly to anybody who makes such claim. But with the circumstances that we also find ourselves, we have no option than to take our time and bring out a better textbook. We cannot rush through and just approve anything, because this is a new curriculum that we have just brought about. And the intent of the new curriculum is to cure a certain defect or mischief in our curriculum that is already existing before we are now starting this one. So if the intent is to cure that defect in our curriculum so that we will be able to break the gap between the world of work and what is actually learnt in our various classrooms, then we might not be able to achieve the desired result if we just rush through. So we need to take our time and do what is right. We need to take our time and approve the textbooks because they are needed and they are right for it to be used in the various classrooms, not because we just need a textbook. It cannot be the case. What should be the case is that we should give to the students or to the pupils appropriate textbooks that is supposed to be in consonance with the curriculum or the new curriculum that we are rolling out, so that we will be able to get the desired results that we so much desire. So if an employer is now taking or is now recruiting employees in the next 15 years, the next 20 years, what the employer wants to see might be seen, because you don't have to take that employee through quite a number of training, because now anybody or most of the employers that we have complains to the Ministry of Education that now if you recruit, it looks as if we have to train them all over. It's as if they didn't get anything in school. It is because what the industries need is not what we teach in our various classrooms. And that has been one of the major defects for which we want to revise the new curriculum. So if we don't take our time to bring out the best of books or the best of textbooks that is supposed to cure the defects, then it means that we will just go around in the circles and just come back to zero. And that is not what we want to achieve. We want to make sure that we do the right thing and ensure that the appropriate textbooks are being given to parents, to students, and to teachers for them to be able to ensure implement the new curriculum effectively.
Are you aware that some of the publishers and ultimately those who are along the value chain, those who tend to retail the books of these publishers, were told that at least by the close of August, these books will be made available for them?
Of course, timelines sometimes are given, and because it's a human institution, there are instances whereby you will not be able to meet the timelines, and that is what we call planning. Of course, I know you will be asking questions if we did not plan or we did not project into the future as to how we wanted to roll out the curriculum effectively. So we had plans, and some of the timelines were mixed, but it doesn't mean that all hope is lost. What we want to do is that the publishers who have been told or who were given that timelines will have to take their time, because they have a mother body who is supposed to ensure that their textbooks are reviewed in the context which we want their textbooks are reviewed in the context which we so much desire to see the textbook, so that even if you are not a teacher, any parent at all can pick a textbook or can pick the curriculum resource pack and be able to teach a kid as to how we want the basic schools to conduct their instructions in the various classrooms.
How many schools, both public and private, will be benefiting from this?
I don't have the figures as we speak, but when we talk about teachers who are supposed to benefit from this, the teachers are 152,000 in the basic school. You know, in Ghana, when we say basic school, we mean KG1 to junior high school 3. And if you remember, in the build-up to the 2016 election, one of the things that this current president talked about was that we will need to include senior high school as part of the basic school. And so as part of the implementation of the new curriculum, the first phase which we are doing, and when I say the first phase constitutes KG1 to basic 6, and that is what we are doing now. So teachers who are in KG1 and to basic 6 are 152,000. Now the discussions as far as the implementation of the second phase of the curriculum, and when I say second phase, I mean junior high school 1 to junior high school 3, and that discussion has just started, and we hope that next year we would be able to implement the second phase of the junior high school curriculum. So we know that currently about 152,000 public teachers are supposed to benefit from this new curriculum thing. But as to the students, we know we have plethora of students. You can say about 500,000 or so who are supposed to benefit from this particular implementation of the new curriculum.
Well, if we have teachers themselves raising concern that even though they've been trained, but the absence of the textbooks for their pupils in the world of teaching could pose problem for them, is that a legitimate concern they have or not?
Of course, it's a legitimate concern. If you remember, when we started the implementation of the double track, headmasters, teachers, stakeholders, parents, students, everybody was confused. Everybody. I personally went around to most of the schools, and you could see clearly where a headmaster was even at sea as to how even timetables that we even gave to them to guide them was supposed to be implemented. Housemasters were confused. But you and I know that after some few months, especially when the go track, that is the second track, was going to school, things were almost normalized. So with the implementation of a new policy, any policy that seems to be new to the human community, obviously people are going to bring about some resistance or resist the change. But as soon as it rolls out, with time, you see that things will be taking shape. So I know, and I concede that that is a legitimate concern, especially when they think that they should be getting a textbook. But you know that the resource pack that taught those teachers to be able to prepare lesson notes, which taught them how to be using their skills to be able to teach the students. For me, any teacher who went through the rigorous training of a college of education, using your own intuition to be able to teach students, because I know that previously when you prepare your lesson notes, sometimes your headmaster will have to even approve the lesson notes before you can use that to teach. So I'm sure that there's going to be some amount of guidance, especially because all the headmasters and let me say all the head teachers who were trained, district directors who were trained, who are supposed to be seen as the oversight responsibility over the teachers, and when there are problems, they are supposed to use that avenue or that channel to be able to address their concerns.
One of the main objectives or rationale for the rollout of this new academic curricula is because we want teaching to be more demonstrative, creative, and have a better contribution from the pupil or student body.
Yes.
And one of the means of demonstration is to have pictorial evidence of what is being taught in the taught process.
Yes.
And if you have textbooks missing, that also perhaps precludes students from having, or pupils from having access and meeting the various objectives for which we intend doing, at least for the beginning of the period. And many of the teachers had raised this, so that in the communities where, for example, you will not have proper internet access. If you were in Accra, we're told that according to what we picked up during the training, and also having spoken to Dr. Ama of the NACAP, etc., is that you can even Google, or you can even go search YouTube, etc., and have some reflective pictorial evidence as part of the items of teaching. It means that they'll be deficient. There'll be nothing at all to teach them. In areas where...
I disagree. I'm saying this because you remember a certain video, I don't know whether it was one of your stations who put out that video, where a teacher who was supposed to be an ICT teacher was using, a certain kind of mouse, if you like, to teach the students or the pupils in the school. And you could see the difficulty, and when one of your respondents went there, the respondent had to even help the teacher as to how to demonstrate to the...
it was there.
Absolutely. So clearly, it is important that there is a certain guide, as you rightly said, that is supposed to be used in teaching these students. But the good news is that the resource packs that we gave to the teachers is detailed enough to be able to serve the same purpose.
It has all the pictures, the demonstrative items?
It might not have it, but I'm saying that it is detailed enough for the teacher to now use its own intuition, at least for the first 2 weeks. Because you see, it is not going to be a process, or it is not going to be the same, or the status quo is not going to remain from the beginning of the term to the end. I am saying that within the first few weeks, maybe the first 2-3 weeks, this is the situation that we have to bear. But after 2-3 weeks, by then, we would have been able to finish with all the processes, so that textbooks would now be available for students to be able to use. So it is not going to be a process whereby you say that since the beginning of the term, students or pupils or teachers are going to have that difficulty in assessing pictorial evidences to be able to make sure that it implements or it conducts to its conclusion as to how the instructions are supposed to be carried out in the various classrooms. No, but we hope that the first 2-3 weeks we may have to bear with this, and after, when the textbooks are ready, we may be able to carry out from there.
Well, we'll open the phone lines also, because this is by way of educating all of us to get to terms with what the outlines are, since we also want to make sure that we get to have parents well informed about when there will be availability of these books and how the teaching by way of its conduct is going to be undertaken. But before I do that, are you aware whether any of the books for any of the subjects have been approved, or we're still in the approval process?
Well, I spoke to the National Council for Curriculum Assessment chair yesterday. I spoke to GES, and the impression I got was that we are almost through. Some approvals will have to be sought from the relevant bodies, and stakeholders will have to even come in, because the NACA do not want to seem as the repository of all knowledge and say, okay, this should be the only textbooks, or this should be the approved textbooks to be used now. The same way when the curriculum was being built, and all the stakeholders as far as the education sector was concerned was used, or their brains were sought for before the curriculum was put together and approved by cabinet. The same way that we think that we should bring some few relevant bodies, the intent or the rationale to which they brought or built the curriculum, if that intent is reflecting in the textbooks. And so we have to take our time and do the right thing. Other than that, we may miss the point.
Well, we're opening the phone lines now, and Vincent Ekow is here, a spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, and he's here to answer many of our responses and at least calm nerves and give us those assurances. 03022116991 or 2. Please make sure that you give us more of your responses. We already have John Ayawi of Boko. John, good morning to you. How's Boko this morning? So, John, I would want you to turn off or just lower the volume on your TV set. It makes it easier. And then speak to me directly on the phone. I think it helps. Okay? Again, we'll have the phone lines on the screens for you. Make sure that you give us more of your calls, and let us also know what you think. We're having some great discussion on the new curriculum, and we know that some private schools are reopening just this morning, and then also we'll have the public schools and the rest of the private schools reopening next week. And the phone lines already are on your screens. Please make sure that you call us. John, you're already on the line again. John, please, your comment.
My issue is, we are being told that we are going to use the resource pack and then the curriculum in the class when school opens. So when we were doing our training, the books were not up. We were being paid. We were being paid to teach. So to use the curriculum, it was not enough for us. So it means that when school opens, we are likely not to get the resource pack individually. So what are we going to use to prepare our syllabus, to prepare our lesson notes, and to teach the students? So I don't know why the resource packs were not up. It was not enough for us. I know that they know the total number of teachers who are going to be. You should have printed enough resource packs and then the curriculum for all of us. So when we were doing our training, the resource packs were not enough. We were being paid to learn.
Okay.
And so if they are going to teach on when school opens, where are we going to get the resource pack? If you don't have one, how are you going to prepare your lesson notes? How are you going to prepare to teach? That is my problem.
Okay. John, which district do you teach in, and where did you do your training?
Yeah, Boko Municipal.
Boko Municipal. Okay. And you want to respond to that, Ekow?
Well, I think that these are just one of the isolated cases that we had. It cannot be that all teachers across board were paid for their resource pack. The intent of the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service was for each teacher to be able to get a resource pack, so that in the absence of the training, that is in the absence that we leave the training process grounds, you would be able to use that as a guide. So it might
you're
be
promising that by the time they reopen next week, they will possibly have.
That is why I asked for the district. So as soon as I get to the office, I'm going to make sure that we get to the district and find out as to why they were paid for the resource pack.
But across board, it's being shared or has been distributed. If you don't have it, just make sure that you keep your fingers crossed. I'm sure you have it before the reopening period next week. Collins Anankani is calling us from Sandeman. Collins, good morning to you. Please make sure that you lower the volume on your set. Lower the volume on your set, and you speak to me directly through your phone. It helps matters. Collins, please go ahead with your comment.
It's Morris, Roland.
Oh, Morris. Sorry.
Yes.
Morris, please do go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Roland. I've been following your program since... Hello?
Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, I've been following your program since yesterday, and this new curriculum changes, I think it's a laudable idea. Yes. If you look at even the changes they made with the senior high school, the double tracking system, I think it's good. So from that one, even up to the new curriculum, it has to do with resources. So I think if the government is more committed to pumping much resources, I think it will help. That's my contribution.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Janet Oti from Kumasi. Janet.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Are you a teacher?
Yes, please. I'm from Achuma Kwangma district.
Kwangma district. Okay, Achuma Kwangma district. That's where you did your training?
Hello?
Is that where you did your training?
Yes, please.
Okay. So tell us your experiences, and perhaps Ekow can allay some of the fears you have.
For us, during the training, all the resource pack was taken from us. None of us carried it home. So how are we going to teach when school reopens?
I'm sure you get it from your circuit supervisor, or it will be distributed to you. But were these some of the instructions you gave, that the resource packs will be brought back to base?
None of us carried it home.
Well, so
okay, Janet, your point is well known.
So it will depend on the district.
And just hold on for me, please.
It will depend on the district. Maybe the district directorates or the circuit supervisors decided that taking it home might not be good for them, or they might not bring it back when school reopens and when they so really need it. So maybe the circuit supervisor decided that let's take them when school reopens and you come to school, maybe we give it back to you.
Well, I hope that the ministry also will note some of these and
absolutely.
ask some
So
of the
we have
reasons.
to know the districts.
Jane, are you still on the line?
Yes, please.
And the teaching is supposed to be demonstrative. According to some of your colleagues I personally spoke to here in Accra who did a training around the metropolitan areas of Accra and some of the various new municipalities. And you're supposed even to go onto the internet and get demonstrative pictures and all that. Was that how the training was conducted for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But what do you think about the new curricula in general as a teacher?
Well, it's very good, the new curricula. But the resource pack is a guide to us. And we didn't take it home to brush through before school reopened. That's my worry.
No, don't worry. I'm sure you get acquainted with it once you went through the training. And then also, the textbooks necessarily may not be available, at least for the first few weeks or the first couple of weeks of reopening. You're not worried about that?
Well, that one too is a worry, but we will cope with the government.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Bolga, where we have Dan. And Dan Asori is on the line. Daniel.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Daniel.
Yeah.
Are you a teacher? Daniel, please lower the volume on your TV set. It helps us, and then we're able to communicate with you so that we don't lose that time, usually, by way of the delay. Daniel?
Yes, I am a newly trained teacher.
Okay, you went through the training? Yes,
the College of Education, the 2018 batch.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, the curriculum is a good one, but I have a question for the PRO of the JS.
He's a spokesperson for the Ministry of Education. He likes emphasizing on his position. He's not a PRO.
Okay.
He's a spokesperson.
I want to ask you, when is his ministry making steps to employ the 2018 newly trained teachers? Because we hear from story to story. We are tired. We have completed, say, 2018. From national lances, we have passed lances. National service, we have done with it. What is the problem? Are we not Ghanaians? Why are they giving us that kind of a treatment? He should tell us that.
Okay, you want to respond to that, even though it's not a subject of discussion?
Let's ignore. Let's deal with the issues.
No, okay. So let's go to Solomon Ajenim Boating. You're calling us from Trede.
Yeah.
Okay. Solomon, are you a teacher?
Yeah, I'm a teacher.
Okay. Did you go through the training?
Yeah, I'm teaching at the JHS. I'm teaching at the JHS.
Okay. and this rollout of the new curriculum, of course, the JHS have not been captured yet, because we know that there's the intention to do all that.
Yeah, somebody called, Janet called, and then she wanted to find out whether the new, they did not take the curriculum home. And I'm not holding brief for the directors, but I believe they are organizing another training for the private schools. That's why they took it back. So I believe that after the program, they will distribute it back to them. Currently, they are holding training for the private schools at the school, at the marriage school, at Trede. So I believe that's why they took it back. So after school reopening, it will be distributed to them. Thank you very much.
Great response. You're more than the PRO of the Ghana Education Service. Okay, so, but now, if we have to go onto the ground, the teachers seem to have imbibed whatever training that they went through and what it is. What level of communication is there for the structures of education by way of the schools, the administration, and then the parents too, so that there's that sort of communication and there's no gap in between? Because at least for the teachers, you seem to have closed that sort of communication.
I think we use the same template of communication as far as the Ghana Education Service is concerned. And that template of communication is whereby the Minister of Education communicates to the Ghana Education Service. The Ghana Education Service also communicates to the headquarters, communicates to the regional education level. Then the regional education level also communicates to the various district directories. And the district directories also communicate to the security supervisors before it gets down to the teachers. When you realize, or if you recall, when we started the training, what the Ghana Education Service decided to do was to train some masters of trainers. We started with about 181, which constituted most of the stakeholders in education. Before we went down to go and train, the 181 also assisted in retrain about 1,300, and that is supposed to be at the regional levels. And so the 1,300 and over also assisted in retraining the various district directorates. So it's a chain of communication the chain or the template of communication that we use in the training is the same template that we use as far as the communication is concerned. If teachers are having problems with the implementation, the first point of call should be their headmasters. The headmaster will further relate that information to their circuit supervisors. In some instances, some head teachers even have some direct communication with the district directors or any of the district officers to be able to deal with their concerns.
Or the supervisors. Okay, let's go to Atebu. And Atebu, we have Matthew. Matthew Mankante calling us. Matthew?
Yes, sir.
You're a teacher?
Yes.
It helps matter. You went to training, and I'm sure you may be satisfied or might be satisfied with the level of training or orientation you went through, aren't you?
First of all, I have to thank... hello.
Please make sure that you lower the volume on your TV set.
Yes, it's even off now.
Yes, yeah. So talk to me. I'm sure you're satisfied with the level of orientation you went through, but
yes, for the training, it was fantastic, and we got all the necessary skills that we need. But it's hello.
Please go ahead.
It was about the resource materials, and Mr. Vincent, in fact, he has been doing well, and I really appreciate the work he's doing. If you can remember, there was issue about the allowance order. He came out clearly and explained issues on V3, and in fact, I was happy that night. But the problem is the curriculum is a very good one, but the problem is the resources that will follow, and we pray that...
Matthew, but what if you said resources? For example, what resource do you need to implement this? For example, if you don't have a hard copy of something, you just go onto the internet, or you can have a picture of it downloaded somewhere for your next lesson, and it makes it easier and demonstrative, right?
Yeah, Mr. Roland, it's true, but remember that. Hello.
Please go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, remember that internet connection is not like Accra or Kumasi. Some of us are teaching in a remote areas. For me like this, for the past 3 years where I was put, there was not even light there. So sometimes you go and your phone is even off for a week.
Okay, but Matthew, essentially you're supposed to be part of the teaching process. Somebody can even send you a picture of somebody you need for some time, or you know that you will need these lesson notes for maybe a day coming this week, etc. And these are the materials you need. You can go to a place where you have internet connection and do the download, or get a picture, or get some tools you find in your environment to do that, Matthew. But let's move on to Asikuma, and we have Olivia Conan. Olivia.
Hello.
Olivia, good morning.
Good morning.
You are a teacher, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you went through the orientation?
Yes, I went through.
Okay, tell us your experiences, and if you have any question for the spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, you can pose that question as well.
Please, my experience was that the curriculum that we went through, it was okay. But my issue is that they are telling us in the resource part that the first 8 years of a people is their critical reasoning. But when we look at our public schools, our KGs have the incredible stage. We don't have classrooms. So if they can improve upon the KG aspect, I think they will achieve their target. Because at the end of the day, the KGs, we don't have classrooms. We are sitting on the trees. We don't have places that we can post our pictures there. So my suggestion is that if they can move those in their classrooms and they can put the cages there, I think it will be in their right aspect. We don't have any places to do what they want us to do. And the class 1, class 2, class 3, class, the lower primary, the upper primary, the JHS, most of them are in their classrooms. While the cages that they want us to do, the pictures, we have to let the children feel the schooling. We are not in classrooms, and that is my worry.
So supposed to be Olivia.
So I am asking him, what are they doing for the cages?
Okay, Olivia.
Yes.
You are not saying the pictures and the way they have to be demonstrative enough is only for those in cages. It's also to be used even for the upper section of...
But they are telling us that the foundation is based on the KG.
I get your point. I get your point now.
The foundation is based on KG. Even those that they are in the private sector, when you go to their KG level, the kind of willing that the children get when they want to go to
I get your point. But those are private schools. So somewhere. Okay, Ekow, please respond to this.
Well, let me just say this. Good news to my dear sister who just called. As part of government's agenda to expand access at the level of the kindergartens, and if you check the MPP's manifesto, it was one thing that we said, and it's white or black and white in there, that we are going to expand access to the various kindergartens, because as she rightly said, we believe that it is at that level that you would be able to get most of the things that you need to get before you can build on as far as education is concerned. I hold in my hand here one of the things that the PR unit of the Ministry of Education is putting together, and as we speak now, my dear sister, we have been able to build about 81 kindergarten blocks across the country. It may not be enough, but it is enough commitment to tell you that we are not relegating on our promise to the Ghanaian people, that as far as kindergarten is concerned, we will be able to expand, and maybe your cameras will be able to capture some of these things. And these are kindergarten blocks that ever since, that is 2017 we have been able to put together for the Ghanaian people. So I would love that your cameras would be able to pick up for the Ghanaian people to see. And when you look at this, this is a construction of a kindergarten block that is built at Aduabin Methodist and Jache DA Primary School. This one also is one at Aduabin, that is the Aduabin. This one is also at Adiambra DA Primary School. This one is also at Zion, AME Zion Primary School at Asafo Kumase Metro. Let me just go through 2 or 3 of them. This one is also at Besiansi RC Primary School. So quite a number of them that you could see that we have completed, and they are most of them too. We are just at the level of the substructure. This is not a green book. This is yellow. Oh no, it's not a green book. But we are just at the substructure level, and we are almost completing almost everything. So let me say that our commitment is there. The promise or the social contract that we signed with the people of Ghana before the 2016 election, that we are going to expand access as far as the kindergarten block is concerned. We are going to live by that.
Well, we've finished with the issues of the orientation and how the teaching mode is. The other one is about the uniforms. The textile workers, they're complaining. According to, have you given formal notices for people to import, or you are giving contracts to providers or contractors to bring in these uniforms?
Roland, the question that I want to also ask, have you seen or has any textile worker been able to provide you with any evidence to show that indeed we have awarded contract to anybody to import anything to Ghana? You see, I think that we now live on what people say, or people say things without any evidence or whatsoever. The convention has been that, and I can say this to myself, especially when we were young, when you need a material or a school uniform to buy, you go to the market. The Ghana Education Service never provided any material or whatsoever to anybody before you could go and buy. The records tells me that Ghana Education Service or Ministry of Education has never awarded contract to anybody or whatsoever since time immemorial, before somebody or a student or a parent could go and buy a material. So it is the status quo that we are continuing. So with the introduction of the new uniform, which, Roland, is not compulsory. It is not compulsory for any school-going child who is going to school this academic year to go and buy the uniform if you can't afford. No, it is supposed to phase out within some few years. And so if for the next 3 years, somebody is completing BEC today, or somebody just completed BEC, and is now about to go to senior high school. That person is having a brother or a sister who is in basic 6, now going to junior high school 1. The junior high school 1 student could now go and take.
So you're saying it's an open market?
It's an open market for anybody.
So you announced a decision to do a changeover into a new school uniform structure.
Absolutely. And what we did was
and you left it to the market.
Absolutely. What we did was that we showed the material sampling to the whole world, to the media. And when the Ghana Education Service Director, Professor Pukwa Mankwa, had that press briefing, he showed it to everybody. And in fact, it has been at the Ghana Education Service for anybody who so desires to even see or take a picture as to how it is, for you to go and produce it and sell, because the Ghana Education Service will not take responsibility for, poor production of such clothes or whatsoever. However, we are giving you the sample. We are showing you how we want it to be like. So anybody who wants to go and produce it and sell it to the parents or put it on the market, for any parents or any students. So
you left it to the market forces?
Absolutely. And that has been the convention.
And before we could say, Jack, they were already in some sections of the market.
No, that is wrong. We showed this in April.
Yeah, sure.
Somewhere in April.
Yes.
So it cannot be that before you could say, Jack. We knew that.
So you show it in April. So yes. We have
about 5 months
May,
now.
June, July, August. Okay.
About 5 months now.
It's a good time for you to import.
Absolutely. So even if you are producing it in China, it will take you about 45 days for just importation. But production may take you, let's say, 30 days.
So the intent was that at least people can go and produce it at a cheaper market, and you're mentioning China.
No. I'm just saying, you just talked about importation. And with my experience with China business, I'm just saying that within 2.5 months, this could be done by anybody who wants to do this.
But leaving out, especially knowing that you're introducing something as massive as this, the demand will be high. You didn't think it was good to introduce protectionist buffers, at least for your local textile producers?
The demands has always been high. Today, if you go to Kumasi,
but
there's one woman called Arabina at Tanoso, if you know her.
She has the materials?
No. There's one woman at Tanoso who lives in Tanoso, who lives around Tanoso. She's having this big factory. And the time that I was going to Matters of Uganda, those who went to Cambridge and those who went to Good Shepherd and what have you, all these students had to go to Arabina for both material and even the sewing. So there are people who are already in that business. And the convention has not been that Ghana Education Service will directly involve itself in some of these things. We will show the sample to the market. The market will now go out and say, okay, I am interested in doing this. So however we get them onto the market, it is not really the business of the Ghana Education Service. What is the business of the Ghana Education Service is to ensure that those that are on the market is in consonance with what we showed to them when we had a press briefing.
How many suppliers do you think have so far printed from China?
I wouldn't know. And I have not said that anybody has also produced from China.
I've not said that. I'm only asking.
Okay. So I wouldn't know how many suppliers are doing that. But I am told that some are already on the market around Makola. And I think I saw snippets of those information and pictures from the market.
It alienates the local textile producers. That's the whole point. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for passing through the studio. It's been a great time.
I want to say a very good morning to some of my loved ones in Tafopankono constituency.
Okay.
Especially my very, very good friend and brother, Desmond. I love him so much, and I thank him for everything that he's doing for me. And I think I'll see him in no time.
All right. Oh, well, we've seen him here already. And Vincent Ekow is spokesperson, the Minister of Education. We've been having some expanded conversation on the new curricula. It's starting today for at least some of the private schools that are reopening. And the teaching mode is going to be different because they've gone through some orientation. And subsequently, next week, we should have the whole of public schools across Ghana reopening, as well as the rest of the private schools. But look, we have to take a break. But when we return, Mamavi and Araba Kumsin will be telling you how the Joy Clean Ghana campaign will pan out and why you need to join this drive to keep Ghana clean. Do stay with us.